Stay out of the woods. Part 1. Something moves between the trees. The signs were there before anyone died. Handmade wooden planks nailed into trees just past the ridge trail, painted in red letters that bled when it rained. Keep out. Stay on the path. The woods remember. No official markings. No logos. No one ever saw who put them up. We joked about them when we were kids. Urban legends in rural Alabama. The kind of things small towns breed to keep themselves entertained. We'd dare each other to touch the tree with the oldest sign. Tell stories about people who'd gone too far off trail and come back strange. Or not at all. But that was before we found the shoes. Before the thing in the woods started whispering back. My name's Eli, and I've lived in Cordell Hollow my whole life. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and if you don't, you're probably not worth knowing. My folks ran a hardware store on Main. I used to take the old trail behind our house out to the creek with my best friend Milo. That trail ended where the warnings began. We used to see how close we could get. Sneaking out at dusk, walking just far enough to see the first sign nailed into the dead pine. The tree was black and twisted, bark split open like a wound, roots bent upward like it had tried to crawl away from something underground. Even the bugs avoided it. We never went past it. Not until that summer. It was July. The air was thick enough to chew, and the fireflies came out early. We were 17, drunk on cheap beer and no adult supervision. Milo brought up the trail again while we were sitting around the fire behind his house. Said he wanted to go past the signs, all the way into the woods. Just to see. I told him no. Joked about the ghost stories, tried to play it cool. But something was already wrong. He looked thinner, like he'd lost weight in his sleep. His eyes had gone too dark around the edges, like he hadn't blinked in a while. He smiled too wide when I said no. You'll come, he said. It doesn't work if you go alone. I should have walked away. I didn't. We went the next night. I told my parents I was crashing at Milo's. Packed a flashlight, a knife, and a little vial of my grandfather's ashes I kept for luck. He'd always said the woods were older than the town, that they remembered the people who bled in them. I never asked what he meant. We reached the signpost tree by 11:45 p.m. The woods were quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Milo stepped past the sign without hesitating. I followed. We kept walking for what felt like an hour. No trail. Just thick trees and black soil that got wetter the deeper we went. Like we were sinking into something. Then we found the clearing. Wide. Empty. Moonlight too bright for the clouded sky. And at the center, shoes. Dozens of them. Lined up in pairs. Men's boots. Women's flats. Children's sneakers. All old. All rotting. All facing the same direction, deeper into the forest. Milo walked among them like he'd been here before. I stayed at the edge. Then he pointed. That's mine. I looked down. One pair near the center of the clearing was fresh. Clean. Untouched. Black high tops. Just like Milo's. He smiled, bent down, and put them on. I shouted. Told him we should go. He looked up. His face was bleeding. Just from the eyes. Slow. Steady. He blinked, wiped it, laughed. They always fit better when it's time. The woods behind him shifted. Not the trees, the space. It stretched. Pulled backward like the clearing was exhaling. And something stepped out. I didn't see its face. Only the legs. Tall. Wrong. Like stilts made of skin and smoke. Milo didn't move. He said one thing before it touched him. Tell them to stay out of the woods. Then he was gone. Gone. Not snatched. Erased. No scream. No flash. No sound. I ran. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. When I reached the signpost tree, I fell to my knees. The sign had changed. New letters burned into the wood. One came back. The sheriff didn't believe me. Searched for 2 days. Found Milo's house empty. His car still in the driveway. His clothes still in the hamper. But his shoes were gone. When I walked back to my house, something was waiting on the porch. Not a note. Not a warning. His old shoes. Mud-covered. Empty. And inside one of them, folded small. A slip of bark with a word carved into it. Soon. I haven't gone near the woods since. But they're coming closer. The trees look different now. Taller. Leaning toward the house. The birds don't land near them. My dog won't go outside after dark. And sometimes at night I hear footsteps. But they don't sound like boots. They sound like bare feet dragging. Like something still wearing someone else's skin, trying to remember how to walk. I think it wants me to finish what Milo started. But I won't. I won't go back. Because I know what waits in the dark. And I remember what the sign said before the last time it changed. If you hear your name whispered from the trees, don't answer. Let me know when you're ready for part 2, the trail that wasn't there yesterday. Part 2, the trail that wasn't there yesterday. The trees grew closer to the house overnight. Not figuratively, physically. I measured. The edge of the tree line used to be 42 steps from the back porch. Now it was 27. They leaned in just slightly, like they'd crept forward while I slept, just enough not to be noticed unless you were counting. I stopped sleeping after that. You can't sleep when you know something's watching you breathe. Milo's shoes sat on the porch for 2 days before they disappeared. One moment they were there. The next gone, like they'd walked away on their own. No footprints. No wind. Just gone. That night, something scratched the back door. Not hard. Not fast. Just long, dragging scrapes like nails across wood. I didn't check. Just turned up the volume on the TV and kept my hand on the knife I now kept on the table. I thought about calling someone, Sheriff Holder, my folks, anybody. But I knew what I'd hear. Stay inside, Eli. You're just tired. You're still grieving. They didn't understand. The woods weren't just haunted. They were awake. The signs hadn't lied. The woods remembered. And now, they remembered me. I decided to drive out. Just for a day or two. Clear my head. Maybe go stay with my cousin in Birmingham. I packed fast, left early. But the road was blocked. Not closed, missing. The gravel drive that led to the county highway had been replaced by underbrush. Thorns. a wall of green too thick to see through. It was like the woods had grown over the road in a single night, stitching themselves together behind my tires as I backed up. I ran inside, slammed the door, and from the window, I watched something tall move between the trees. Just for a second, gone by the time I blinked. But it was enough to remind me, the woods weren't waiting anymore. They were coming. On the fourth day, a trail appeared in the backyard. It hadn't been there the day before. I would have seen it. But now it cut through the overgrowth like it had always existed. Wide enough for one person. Dirt packed tight with no leaves or debris, like something used it often. At the entrance to the trail was a stick figure made of bone and twine, dangling from a branch. No wind. But it swayed anyway. I didn't go near it. But that night, I dreamed of walking it. Dreamed of black trees with hands instead of leaves, all reaching toward me. Dreamed of Milo ahead of me on the trail, barefoot, humming tunelessly, leaving behind footprints full of blood. He never looked back. Just said, "We need one more." When I woke, my feet were dirty, like I'd walked barefoot in the woods. But my doors were locked. Every window shut. Except the bathroom mirror was fogged. 3 letters smeared in the glass. Go. I boarded up the windows. Turned off all the lights. Sat in the dark with my knife and waited. Something knocked at the front door at exactly 3:33 a.m. 3 slow knocks. I didn't answer. Didn't move. But the knocking came again the next night. Same time. Same rhythm. Then the voice followed. Eli. Low. Wet. Wrong. It wasn't Milo's voice. It was trying to be. But it was too slow. Too careful. Like it was reading from a script it only half remembered. I stayed silent. Then it said, "You left something behind." I gritted my teeth. Didn't move. But my bedroom light clicked on. Then off. Then on. Click. 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 By the time it stopped, the front door was open. I hadn't moved. But the door stood wide, windless, quiet. The trail was visible from where I sat. And the figure on the branch was gone. The next morning, I found something on my porch. Not the shoes. A photo. Black and white. A child, maybe 7 years old, standing in the woods. Their face scratched out. The background blurred like motion was captured in stillness. Behind the child, barely visible between the trees, a tall figure. Bent. Leaning. Holding something that looked like skin. On the back of the photo, in ink that hadn't dried right. "Do you remember what you buried?" I did. When I was 8, I'd gone into the woods with Milo and come out crying. My grandfather found me shaking behind the shed, holding a dead bird I didn't remember picking up. That night, he made me bury it under the signpost tree. Said the woods don't like it when you take things from them. I thought he was being dramatic. But he made me promise. "If you ever hear it call you by name," he'd said, "bury something else. Or it will." I thought he meant bury a memory. A regret. Now I know he meant someone. That night, the trail glowed. Not bright, just faint enough to be seen through the blinds. Pale red. Like dying coals. Like blood under skin. It pulsed. Calling. I didn't sleep. Because I heard Milo humming again. Not from the woods. From inside the house. Just outside my bedroom door. Humming something that looped on itself. No start. No end. When I checked, no one was there. But on the wall outside the door, scratched into the drywall was something sharp, were the words. "The woods want you back." I tried to leave again the next day. But the back door now opened into the trail. No yard. No fence. Just forest. And far off, barely visible in the trees, something walked in slow circles, dragging one arm behind it like it didn't fit right in the body it wore. I think it's wearing someone I know. I think it wants me to trade places. But I'm not going to let it. I'll burn the house if I have to. Seal the doors. Refuse the trail. But deep down, I know the truth. I've already walked part of it. I just don't remember when. Part 3. The Whisper Roots. The house creaks differently now. Not from age or wind. The sounds are deliberate. Timed. Rhythmic, like something breathing under the floorboards. And with each groan, I swear the air thickens, like it's pulling the world inward, collapsing the space between me and the woods. I don't know how long I've been here anymore. The clocks don't match. My phone won't hold a charge. And time doesn't feel straight. Some days I wake up and the trees are pressed against the glass, branches brushing the windows like fingers. Other days the trail is gone, just flat grass and fog. But it always comes back. Always. I dug up the yard, looking for what I buried as a kid. Something, anything, that could explain what I let in, what I left behind. The shovel hit something solid just before dusk. Wood. Old. Splintered. A box. Inside, a bird's skeleton, arranged perfectly. No decay. Just bone, polished and delicate. But wrapped around its legs was something new, something I hadn't buried. A braid of hair. Too long to be mine. Tied with a red thread that pulsed faintly when I touched it. And in the dirt beneath the box, I found a root. Thick. Black. Still moving. It coiled around my hand like it wanted to be held. I dropped it and ran. It didn't follow. But that night, I woke up with dirt under my nails. And something wet squirming inside my mouth. The humming is constant now. Not loud. But ever present. Like the woods are singing a lullaby for something too big to sleep on its own. I can hear it through the pipes. Through the drains. Sometimes, when the wind is still, it comes up from the floor. The roots are growing in. I pulled back a section of carpet in the living room and found them there, threading beneath the boards, twisting up from the foundation like veins reaching for a heart. Some are thin, but others pulse when you touch them. One split open when I stepped on it, and bled something white and thick that reeked of copper and ash. The kitchen faucet runs black now. The water hisses. Sometimes it says my name. I called my mom. Tried to sound normal. Told her I wasn't feeling well, maybe coming down with something. I asked if she remembered when Grandpa made me bury that bird. There was a long pause. Then she hung up. She called back 5 minutes later. Said, "We're not supposed to talk about that." Then hung up again. I haven't heard from her since. Last night, I heard footsteps upstairs. I live alone. They were slow, dragging, but too heavy to be human. When I finally worked up the courage to check, there were no footprints. Just roots. Thin ones crawling across the ceiling like vines, reaching down into the walls. One of them had cracked the bathroom mirror. Just a hairline fracture, but in the reflection, I saw movement. Me. Standing perfectly still behind myself. Eyes wide. Mouth open. And something growing out of my throat. When I turned, there was no one there. But the root in the corner was wet. Still swaying. I boarded up the windows. Stacked furniture in front of the doors. But the house is changing. The hallway doesn't lead where it used to. Now, it stretches longer at night. I count 6 doors before the light flickers, and one of them is always open. Behind it is not a room. It's a hole. Straight down. Lined with bark and crawling things that whisper in languages older than breath. I don't go near it. But the hole breathes sometimes. And I think it's hungry. I try burning the roots. Set fire to a bundle I hacked out of the crawl space with the garden shears. It screamed. Not the fire. The house. The boards under my feet thudded like something kicked from underneath. The walls moaned. And for the first time, the humming stopped. Just long enough for me to hear the voice. Clear. Calm. Inside my head. You belong beneath. I blacked out. When I came to, the fire was out. And the burned roots were whole again. There's something else now. A figure at the edge of the woods. Not Milo. Not the tall thing from before. Someone new. Wearing a flannel coat. No face. Just a smooth, gray surface where features should be. But it watches me. Every night, from the same spot in the trees. It never moves. Until I blink. Then it's closer. Last night, it was at the edge of the porch. Tonight, I think it'll be inside. I've started hearing scratching beneath my bed. Not rats. Whispers. Syllables too smooth to belong to a human throat. I recorded it. Played it backwards. And heard my name. Over and over. Begging. Laughing. Promising. One word loops again and again, whispered through teeth made of bark. Root. I think the woods aren't just alive. I think they're replacing me. Bit by bit. When I cut myself shaving, the blood was thick. Black. Smelled like earth after rain. My fingernails are sharper now. Not harder, sharper, like they're meant to dig. There's something growing behind my eyes. I can feel it. When I close them, I don't see darkness. I see branches. And they're blooming. Tomorrow, I'm going to the signpost tree. With a shovel. And gasoline. If the trail is still there, I'll follow it. Not because I want to. Because I have to know how deep the roots go. And if I don't come back, don't try to find me. If you hear humming in the walls, don't listen. If you see a figure watching from the woods, don't wave. And if the trail appears behind your house, don't step on it. Don't even look. Because once the woods know your name, they never stop whispering it. Part 4. The Tree That Bleeds. I left at dawn. Didn't pack much, just the essentials. Lighter fluid. A crowbar. A voice recorder. A plastic crucifix my mom gave me when I was a kid, back when I used to scream about shadows in my closet and hands under my bed. It hadn't helped back then. I doubted it would now. But I took it anyway. The trail was waiting, coiled like a vein through the grass, black dirt pulsing faintly in the early light. The trees had pulled back to form a perfect arch over it, branches twisted together like a rib cage. As soon as I stepped on it, the wind died. No birdsong. No bugs. Just silence and that low, constant hum vibrating through the soles of my feet. The trail wasn't long, but it bent wrong, like it wrapped around something unseen. I walked for what felt like hours. The sky stayed gray. The light never shifted. Time folded. Then I saw the tree. The signpost tree. But it had changed. It was taller now. Wider. The bark blackened, scarred with hundreds of carvings. Names, symbols, spiral loops that pulsed when I looked at them too long. The ground around it had sunk. It didn't grow from the forest anymore. The forest grew from it. It wasn't a tree. It was a wound. And it was bleeding. From deep cracks in its bark, thick red sap oozed like coagulated blood. It pooled at the base, soaking into the earth, feeding roots that pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat. There were things around it. Figures. At first, I thought they were people. But as I got closer, I saw they were statues. Twisted, wooden mockeries of humans. Bent at strange angles, faces stretched in silent screams. Each one wrapped in roots growing through them, holding them up like puppets. One of them wore Milo's jacket. I approached the base of the tree with the lighter fluid in hand. As soon as the first drop hit the bark, the tree screamed. Not with sound. With pressure. The air rippled. My ears popped. The world bent sideways for a split second, enough to make me stumble back. The ground trembled. And then the bark split. A long vertical crack opened down the center of the trunk. Not natural. Not decay. A door. Inside, darkness. Breathing. Wet. I should have run. Instead, I stepped inside. It wasn't hollow. It was alive. The walls pulsed with red light, veins twitching beneath slick, black tissue. The air was hot. Thick. Every step squelched. Roots crunched beneath my boots. I followed the path down into the heart of the tree, deeper and deeper, until I couldn't hear my own thoughts. And then I heard him. Eli. Milo's voice. But not from ahead. From behind me. I turned. He stood in the opening, barefoot, bleeding from the eyes. Smiling like a puppet with its strings pulled too tight. You came back. That's good. It gets hungry if you don't. He stepped forward. His arms twitched like he didn't control them fully. You burned the root. It doesn't like that. But you can make it right. You can feed it. He held something out. A bundle of branches. Still writhing. They looked like fingers. I ran. Deeper into the tree. The walls got narrower, the red light dimmer. But something moved with me, above, below, around. I wasn't alone. The roots weren't just growing. They were listening. I stopped in a chamber at the base. There, in the center, lay a body. Mine. Pale. Still. Eyes wide open. mouth stretched in a silent scream. The chest rose and fell, just slightly. Alive. Not awake. And the hum, it was louder here. Coming from the body. A perfect match to my own pulse. I dropped to my knees. Because I understood. I never left the trail. Never escaped the woods. The moment I'd stepped off the path as a child. The woods had taken something. Left a placeholder behind. A copy. A growth. And now it was time to finish what had started. To replace the placeholder. To give it back the real thing. Eli. Milo again. Closer now. I turned. He stood in the tunnel, head cocked, empty eyes smiling. You've been asleep so long. But it's okay now. We've made room. He raised his hand. And all the statues outside the tree screamed as one. Their voices echoed through the walls, a sound like wind and rot and grief. I stood, lit the lighter, dropped it into the fluid-soaked roots, and the tree caught fast. It didn't scream. It howled. The hum shattered into 1,000 voices. Faces bloomed from the walls, hundreds of them, moaning, laughing, crying. Milo reached for me, but his body split at the seams, turning to ash mid-step. I ran. Climbed. The tunnel narrowed, cracked, groaned. Bark fell in chunks. Roots snapped like bone. Fire licked the walls behind me. And just as I reached the split bark, the door, I felt teeth close around my ankle. Not sharp. Just pressure. Like something was trying to drag me back in. I kicked. Pulled. Screamed. And broke free. The tree spat me out onto the clearing floor. I rolled away as the trunk collapsed in on itself, twisting and snapping, folding like a dead spider. The blood stopped. The roots pulled back. The statues fell to the earth, motionless. The trail behind me vanished. And the woods were quiet. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm home now. Sort of. The house hasn't changed, but I have. I sleep during the day. The mirror doesn't always reflect what I'm doing. And my fingernails are sharp again. Last night, I woke up with bark under my tongue. And this morning, carved into the wall above my bed, in letters made of ash. You left something behind. And it found a new route. Part 5. The last path you take. It's never really over. You can burn the tree. Smash the mirrors. Leave the town. But the woods remember. That's what the signs always said. And now I know why. Because the woods aren't a place. They're a hunger. And once it touches you, once it knows your name, you carry it with you, everywhere. It's been a month since the fire. I haven't spoken to anyone. Haven't answered calls, texts, emails. Not because I'm avoiding people. Because I don't know if I'm the same person they remember. There are gaps in my memory now. Blank spaces. Whole days lost. I'll blink and find dirt under my fingernails. Sap in my hair. Shoes damp with dew like I've been walking outside. But the doors are always locked. The windows shut. And yet, I wake to the smell of burned roots. Every time. A new trail appeared last night. Not behind the house this time, inside it. I stepped out of bed and found myself ankle-deep in soft earth. The floor of the hallway had changed, replaced by black soil and tangled weeds. The walls bowed inward, wallpaper peeled and breathing. The house pulsed in time with that familiar hum, low and soft, like a lullaby sung in reverse. And the hallway led deeper than it ever had before. Winding, descending, beckoning. I didn't follow it. Not yet. But I know it's only a matter of time. It grows every night. I found another note yesterday, folded into the pages of a book I hadn't touched in years. Scrawled in crooked handwriting, shaky like a child just learning to grip a pencil. The last path is the one you forget you walked. It takes root where memory dies. I didn't write it, but the paper smelled like the clearing, like blood, sap, and wet ash. The dreams are worse now. I see other versions of myself, walking endless woods, barefoot and blindfolded, muttering in loops. Some are alone. Some are being led by root-twisted hands. All of them are heading somewhere, towards something. And every time I try to wake up, I find myself standing, mid-step, 1 foot forward, reaching for a doorknob that isn't there. The mirror in the hallway cracked last week. It still reflects me, but not the house behind me. It shows the forest, the trail, and a figure in the distance, waving slowly. I can't see its face, but it wears my coat. Last night, I caught myself whispering to the walls, over and over, without thinking, a word I don't remember learning, but it feels old. Wet in the mouth, heavy, like a root pulled from deep earth. I recorded myself, played it back, but the voice on the tape wasn't mine. It was Milo's. And behind him, faint but clear, came a second voice, deeper, slower, hollow. The seed is awake. It needs light. It needs soil. It needs a path. I haven't left the house in days, but I've found soil on the porch, twigs in my sheets, teeth marks in the doorknobs, bark growing up the kitchen cabinets. And today, I found something worse. A new sign, hanging from the ceiling in the living room. Rough wood, fresh paint. Same style as the ones in the forest. This one said, "It's your turn to grow. The woods are thirsty." I tried to burn it, but it wouldn't catch. Just hissed. Wept sap. The fire guttered, and the roots beneath the floor moaned. I'm not writing this for help. I'm writing this because the story wants to end. That's how it works. A trail opens. Someone walks it. The woods watch. They take what they need. And they leave something behind. Something that remembers just enough to hurt. Just enough to invite the next soul down the path. You're reading this now. And maybe your feet are warm. Maybe the woods are nowhere near you. Maybe your house is full of light and laughter and people who never disappeared into trees. But remember this. All it takes is a whisper. A crack in the floorboards. A humming pipe. A dream of bare feet on wet soil. That's the first root. And once you see the trail, once you even acknowledge it, you've already taken your first step. I hear them now. Milo. Grandpa. The bird I buried. All of them in the walls, in the roots, in the crawl space of my mind. They want me to walk the trail. They want me to finish the story. And tonight, I think I will. Because my hands are dirty. The soil's already inside me. And the last path is the one I've already walked. I just didn't remember it, until now. Yandy.